Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive blind spot that almost every major organization completely misses when they try to step into the future. I mean, we spend so much time, right, marveling at neural networks, crazy processing power, and the literally mind-blowing capabilities of generative algorithms. But today, we're actually going to look right past the code. We need to figure out what really makes or breaks this tech. We're talking about the human element of AI. Because honestly, if you want to successfully transform a business, you've got to understand the people running it.
Okay, let's jump right in. I want to start by posing a pretty fundamental question. Think about your own organization, or literally any business out there trying to modernize right now. When they pull the trigger and decide to implement AI, what is actually the hardest part of that whole transformation? Like, is it finding the budget? Is it, selecting the right software vendor? Or maybe data security and privacy? Actually, no. It's the people. That is the ultimate punchline of AI integration today. The biggest hurdle, the absolute highest wall any leadership team has to climb, isn't the technology itself. The tech, well, it usually does exactly what it's programmed to do. The real challenge is getting your human workforce fully, genuinely on board with the whole program. Because without them, I guarantee you, the best software in the world is just going to sit there gathering digital dust. Which brings us to Section 1, the Hidden AI Challenge, specifically why internal buy-in matters so much. You see, AI isn't just some quiet little application running in the background. It fundamentally forces entirely new ways of working. It directly impacts human beings, shifting how they spend 8 hours of their day. Which brings us to a remarkably simple but powerful statement that acts as the absolute bedrock of successful adoption. People support what they understand and trust. It's really that simple. If your employees do not understand the core purpose behind why their workflows are changing, natural resistance builds up almost instantly. You literally cannot force this from the top down. You have to foster genuine engagement from the ground up. So for Section 2, let's look at why teams resist change. This is really about the psychology of uncertainty. There's this massive misconception out there that when employees push back against AI initiatives, it's because they're just stubbornly anti-technology. But honestly, that's usually completely false. The pushback is actually a very natural, deeply human response to feeling uncertain about the future. Just think about these common, very real concerns. How is this going to affect my role? Wait, am I being replaced? Will my work actually become harder trying to learn this ridiculously complicated new system? What happens next? These are highly valid fears tied directly to a person's livelihood. And if leadership meets these vital questions with total silence, well, that silence just breeds massive resistance. You have to empathetically validate these fears before you can ever hope to move past them. Moving on to Section 3, the communication imperative and bridging the gap. So if silence breeds resistance, then proactive, clear communication is absolutely the antidote. Notice the stark contrast here in how leaders handle this. On the one hand, we see the classic leadership trap, focusing entirely on tech implementation. It's like leaders assume flawless software just automatically guarantees support. But the actual winning strategy, the real game changer here, is guiding people through the change. Real support doesn't happen by accident, It has to be built intentionally as a massive operational transition, not just some standard IT install. To build that vital trust, transparency is basically non-negotiable. You have to be ready to clearly answer 4 essential questions for your team. Why is this change happening right now? What are the ultimate goals we're actually trying to achieve? How will the teams benefit from this? Like, what's in it for them? And crucially, what support will be available while they're learning the ropes? When you lay out these specific answers, it's amazing. People actually stop fearing the change and start embracing the tools because they embrace change when they're given the context to actually understand it. Let's transition to Section 4, building employee confidence. It's all about creating inclusion. Okay, so once you've clearly communicated the why, you need actionable strategies. You want to shift your workforce from feeling like AI is this mandate happening to them to feeling like they're active participants shaping it. They need to move from feeling excluded to feeling totally included. And here's an actionable blueprint to make that a reality. First off, involve people early. Seriously, don't wait until launch day to drop a weird new tool on their desks. Second, actually ask for their feedback. They are the ones in the trenches, doing the day-to-day work. They know exactly where the friction points are. Third, share progress openly. And yeah, that includes the inevitable setbacks. And finally, celebrate the wins, no matter how small they seem. This whole process transforms a rigid, top-down mandate into a shared journey. And right alongside that inclusion plan, you absolutely must provide concrete opportunities for learning and development. A quick motivational speech and a 10-minute demo? Yeah, that's not going to cut it. Offering real, tangible training is what actually cements confidence. Think about it. If you want a team to leverage new AI efficiently, you have to empower them with the skills to experiment, without that constant looming fear of making some career-ending mistake.
Which brings us to your first practical step, starting the conversation.
Look, if you're a leader watching this explainer right now, you really don't need a massive budget to start executing a human-centered AI strategy today. You just start by initiating open conversations. Walk up to your team and ask, what concerns do you have about this rollout? What opportunities do you see that leadership might have totally missed? And what specific support would actually help you succeed? Having these direct, honest discussions proves to your team that their perspective is actually driving the process and uncovers incredibly valuable insights and builds vital alignment right from day one. So, let's summarize everything we've unpacked in this explainer. AI transformation only truly succeeds when these 5 human elements are prioritized above everything else: trust, communication, transparency, leadership, and engagement. Notice anything about that list? Yeah, none of those are technical skills. If you only focus on the underlying tech, the transformation is inevitably going to stall out. You need all 5 of these pillars actively working together to build the lasting, sustainable buy-in that modern organizations absolutely require. Which leaves us with this final, critical thought to reflect on as we wrap up today. Once you've actually built that trust and secured that buy-in, how will you design AI workflows that your teams actually use every single day? Because getting your people fully on board, well, that's step 1. Making the technology seamlessly and painlessly fit into their daily lives, that's step 2. Keep that question in the back of your mind as you evaluate your own leadership approach. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.